John's got his opinion. I'm not going to argue with him, that's for sure. And I just feel like that's, you know, it's father-son stuff, and that's, you know, those two should hopefully be hand in hand things out on what has been an incredible career.
Were you surprised about that? The first I heard about it was that interview. I was stunned.
They've always been very close, and John's always been a big part of the training team. You know, I know he's had his trainers in Sugar Hill and, you know, Ben Davison, but, you know, John's his dad, and you know, he's been a big part of the journey, and for some reason, I don't know why, it's not my business, but they've clearly fallen out. And you know, it's never nice to see. And
all these belts he's already got, and he just thinks, okay, he wants to be known as the richest boxer and take Floyd Mayweather's title in a different way. Now all of a sudden, click, he's gone money mad, thinking he can compete with the Saudis, which is impossible. They've got more money than sand, haven't they? And there's a lot of sand in Arabia. So, you know, but that to me, I can tell now is
the interview. I think it's you know, I hate to see that. You know, I hate to see, especially father and son speaking publicly, and, you know, like, I don't even really want to comment on it. I think Tyson Fury's a great fighter. I think he looks like he's working extremely hard in training camp, you know, and I hope that those guys can just get on and rekindle their relationship, because they're father and son. They've both achieved a huge amount together, and you know, I think the proof will be in the pudding coming up to see what Tyson Fury has left. But when people talk about the Usyk fight, Tyson Fury performed really well in those Usyk fights. I mean, he lost 2 close decisions. Do you know what I mean? Against the pound-for-pound #1. So, you know, I think we need to give him his credit and his due and let him perform in 8.
there's your answer.
It's never nice to see, and definitely not nice to see aired in public. So hopefully those two can have a conversation, and John can be part of, like I said, like the closing chapter or chapters of a great career. But I mean, the problem is, like, you can't. Tyson Fury and John Fury, I like them, right? They're not idiots. They know how much bigger he would be if I was promoting him. They know I'm the best promoter in the world. But we've always had this little bit of back and forward. I think they're both very I think unless you have not one brain cell in your head, you will make no sense of what Tyson Fury says, because I've lost track. I mean, I saw that interview saying, I will never be happy with my career unless I fight Anthony Joshua.
And don't forget, who built his story when he was a kid? He didn't build it himself, did he? Me, his father. And he hasn't showed me enough respect to say, you know what, my dad could be right.
John Fury just went nuclear on his own son, and Eddie Hearn is absolutely destroying him for it. We're talking about a father publicly sabotaging Tyson Fury's biggest fights, calling him weak, questioning his mental state, and trying to block multi-million-dollar opportunities. This isn't just family drama anymore. This is a full-scale war that's tearing apart one of boxing's most dominant champions. And the worst part, John Fury doesn't even realize he's become the biggest obstacle to his son's legacy.
I'm all just made for him. It's a perfect fight for him. Got the height, looks the part, he's strong. I think Tyson's hands will be too fast. I think Tyson, his feet, and the thing what I want to see how his feet have deteriorated, because it happens to everybody. So I just want to see what version of Tyson we get. He's out in Thailand training, so he's got to make sure he trains right. No cutting corners at this stage in your life. 37 years old. There's a lot of young lions knocking at the door, watching you. You're in a meal ticket, they're planning for you already. And I think Tyson's very...
Here's what's really going wild. John Fury, the man who claims he built Tyson's career from nothing, is now actively working against him. Eddie Hearn called it perfectly when he exposed John as a hater of his own flesh and blood. Think about this for a second. John is 70 years old, still talking about wanting to fight guys like Carl Froch, still living in his own fantasy world where he's the star. But when his son, the actual heavyweight champion of the world, wants to take on Anthony Joshua in the biggest fight British boxing has ever seen, John tries to shut it down. The irony is absolutely insane. This is a man who understands promotion better than almost anyone, who knows how to build hype and create storylines. Yet he's using those exact same skills to destroy his son's momentum and credibility.
Well, whether he can take him or not, he shouldn't be taking him, and he knows that. But when he's on his A game and he boxes, he can box, he ticks all the boxes, trust me. And he's exciting as well.
And he does the right thing with this level of opposition because he's walking.
But here's where it gets even more twisted. Eddie Hearn revealed the real psychology behind John Fury's behavior, and it's honestly heartbreaking. John's ego has completely taken over his judgment. Instead of being the supportive father and mentor that Tyson desperately needs, John has made everything about himself. He's more concerned with getting respect for his own legacy than protecting Tyson's career. Every interview John does, every public statement, every social media rant is creating unnecessary drama that follows Tyson into every training camp. And you know what's really messed up? Tyson has to spend mental energy managing his father's outbursts instead of focusing purely on becoming an even better fighter. That's not just harmful to Tyson's preparation, it's damaging his public image and making promoters think twice about working with the Fury camp.
One punch in heavyweight division changes everything. Magwadov's capable of doing that. He's a big, strong man, as you can see. Tyson's an elite boxer, but what's he got left? I don't know. Because you'll only know when you get in that ring, and then it's too late. You know, let's just see. Tyson's not a stupid man.
Now listen to this part because it shows just how deep Tyson's hunger still runs. Despite all the family chaos, despite having already achieved everything most fighters dream of, Tyson is still pushing for the biggest fights possible. Eddie Hearn praised this drive, calling it proof that Tyson's fire hasn't dimmed one bit. The man wants Anthony Joshua. He wants the undisputed championship. He wants to cement his place as the greatest heavyweight of this generation. But here's what outsiders don't understand about Tyson's mindset. This isn't just about money or fame anymore. Tyson has transcended those motivations. He's fighting for something much deeper, the chance to prove that all the mental health struggles, all the comebacks, all the doubts were just stepping stones to greatness. That level of internal motivation is what separates champions from pretenders.
You repair them in private, not in the public domain. John, on the times that I've met John, I found him to be engaging and charming. But there's other times when I've seen him whether it's an act, created or whatever, it's boorish, it's unpalatable, it's unpleasant. When you headbutt Ukrainians in front of, Saudi royalty and behave yourself in a way that's not particularly appetizing, you get judged by it. So, with due respect to the fact it's a scoop for these guys, I'm not hugely interested in John Fury.
And get this, some experts are questioning whether Tyson still has the tools to dominate at the highest level. But Eddie Hearn and others close to the situation paint a completely different picture. They're seeing a Tyson Fury who's more disciplined than ever, more aware of the younger challengers coming up, and more strategic in his preparation. The Deontay Wilder trilogy didn't break him, it educated him. Those wars taught Tyson lessons about heart, about recovery, about finding ways to win even when everything goes wrong. Now he's applying that knowledge to every aspect of his training. His conditioning is elite level. His boxing IQ continues to evolve. And most importantly, his ability to adapt mid-fight remains unmatched in the heavyweight division.
I'm not seeing what John said, but obviously I suppose he's in a position where he knows his son, he probably knows the best version of him, and he's probably looking at him now and just feels that it isn't. I think all questions will be answered on the 11th of April, won't they? And we'll see what he's.
Here's the kicker, though. While John Fury is out there planting seeds of doubt about his son's abilities, people who actually work with Tyson are singing a completely different tune. Peter Fury, who knows Tyson's strengths better than anyone, has repeatedly emphasized that when Tyson is locked in mentally, he becomes virtually unstoppable. We're talking about a fighter who can switch from southpaw to orthodox mid-combination, who can lean on the ropes and make elite heavyweights miss by inches, who can turn a boxing match into a phone booth war when he needs to. That versatility, that ring intelligence, that's not something you lose overnight. Eddie Hearn recognizes this, which is why he frames John Fury's criticism as not just wrong, but dangerously outdated.
Pretty level, going up to the 10th round. And I think he let Usyk do in the last round. He picked more.
That's where he comes into his own, those penultimate rounds, is when you get there.
But wait, it gets worse for John Fury's credibility. Boxing analysts like Simon Jordan have started calling out John's constant public commentary as actively harmful to Tyson's career. Think about it from a business perspective. Every time John goes on a rant questioning Tyson motivation or ability, he's giving opponents psychological ammunition. He's creating storylines that paint Tyson as vulnerable or distracted. He's forcing promoters like Eddie Hearn to spend time managing drama instead of building fights. And most importantly, he's violating the most basic rule of combat sports. You never give your enemies free intelligence about your fighter's mental state. John's behavior has become so problematic that promoters are having to work around him, not with him.
To be fair, see, you get to a stage now that we're in, and people still want to hound him and still make assumptions, you know? It's just, you know, because it hasn't happened to them. That's the reality of it. It hasn't happened to them, so they don't know. You know, like I say, he needs to be left alone, and that's all I really want to say on it. And like I say, my heart and my condolences go out to him.
Yet somehow, through all this chaos, Tyson continues to demonstrate the mental toughness that made him a champion in the first place. Tyson's Eddie highlighted this perfectly when he pointed out that Tyson has learned to stay in his own lane, regardless of the noise around him. This is a guy who came back from the brink of suicide to become heavyweight champion. You think his father's criticism is going to break him now? Instead, Tyson has surrounded himself with a team that protects his mental space and keeps him focused on what actually matters. His preparation remains meticulous. His sparring sessions are legendary, and his ability to block out distractions has actually improved as he's gotten older and more experienced.
Tyson, I think, used his dad to keep him involved and as a infiltrator, you know, someone that can shout and scream and cause a bit of chaos and unrest, you know. And I think, like, he doesn't need that in this fight, so he might make a.
Hold up, because there's something even more impressive happening here that people aren't talking about enough. Shane Fury made a point that Eddie Hearn completely agrees with Tyson has already achieved financial security, fame, and legacy. He doesn't need to fight anymore. Yet he keeps coming back, keeps pushing for the biggest challenges available. That's not desperation, that's pure competitive fire. Most fighters at Tyson's level start looking for easy paydays or retirement fights. Tyson is actively seeking out the most dangerous opponents in the division. Anthony Joshua hits like a truck and has elite athleticism. That's exactly the kind of fight that could end careers. But Tyson wants it anyway because proving doubters wrong has become his addiction.
But he's saying that Tyson isn't himself anymore. And I tend to agree with John Fury. He's certainly not at his best anymore. I mean, how could he be after everything he's been through and stuff like that? So I tend to agree with that, right? But he was saying words to the effect of that the Wilder trilogy.
Now here's where the family drama gets really destructive. Shane McGuigan nailed it when he pointed out that Tyson's focus is completely untouchable when he's allowed to operate without interference. The problem is John Fury's constant media appearances create a circus atmosphere that follows Tyson everywhere. But here's what's remarkable: Tyson has developed the ability to completely detach from that chaos. His team has created systems to protect his mental space during training camps. They control what information reaches him, they manage his media obligations, and they ensure that family conflicts don't penetrate his preparation bubble. This level of professional insulation is something most fighters never achieve, even at the championship level.
I don't have people around me, never have and I never will, because I'm a psychopath. I can't have a million people around me because it doesn't work. I just have the same old people I've always knew, that's it. I'm not interested in making new friends, I'm not interested in what the next man's got, I'm not interested in what the next door neighbour's doing, don't care.
And here's what critics like Liam Goff don't understand about the Wilder trilogy's impact on Tyson. Yes, those fights were absolutely brutal. Yes, they took years off Tyson's life. But they also proved something that can't be taught or faked. Tyson Fury's heart is unbreakable.
You know, Tyson's looking in magnificent shape. Best I've seen him in, to be quite honest, for a long time. And more importantly, mentally he's in a good place. And this is a big fight. He's in with a very, very experienced fighter who's a big man, big puncher. I think he's got a 90% knockout ratio. He's knocked out 17 of his opponents in the first. Can whack, and he's not phased about fighting over here. He fought recently over here and beat Dave Allen. And this is quite a big